Ever pondered why American politics seems so polarized and biased? Well, the roots of this bias stretch back to the inception of the United States. It began with the formation of two dominant parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. This two-party system, a seemingly inherent characteristic of our political landscape, has played a significant role in fostering bias. The Democrats and Republicans, with their distinct ideologies, have polarized the American political scene, and this divide has only grown over time. Now let's not forget the media's role in all this. The media, with its power to shape public opinion, has often been accused of fanning the flames of bias, selectively presenting news to align with their political leanings. This combination of a two-party system and media influence has created an environment conducive to bias, where objective judgment is often clouded by party allegiance. So the seeds of bias were sown early on, setting the stage for a divided political landscape. So, how did we arrive at this point of extreme political bias? Let's journey back in time, navigating the tumultuous waves of American politics to understand the evolution of bias. In the mid-20th century, the civil rights movement was a pivotal moment in American history, stirring the political pot and setting the stage for a more divided political landscape. The struggle for racial equality shook the nation's core, polarizing opinions and stirring passionate debates that echoed through the corridors of power and the streets alike. It was an age of monumental change, and with that change came a deepening divide between those advocating for progress and those resistant to it. Then came the Watergate scandal in the early 70s, an incident that shook the very foundations of American trust in government. The scandal, which saw a sitting president resign for the first time in history, deepened political cynicism and mistrust, further fueling the fire of political bias. Fast forward to the early 21st century, and we find ourselves in the throes of the Iraq War, a conflict that divided the nation and the world. The war's contentious nature, coupled with the growing skepticism towards government narratives, further fueled the flames of political bias. But it wasn't just these key events that shaped our political landscape. The rise of partisan media played a significant role in deepening the divide between Democrats and Republicans. As media outlets increasingly catered to specific political ideologies, the American public found themselves in an echo chamber of their own beliefs. This reinforcement of pre-existing views has only served to entrench political bias, making it more difficult for people to engage in constructive dialogue and understand different perspectives. These historical events have not only shaped our politics but also widened the divide, culminating in an era of heightened political bias. This journey through time highlights the complexity and depth of political bias, reminding us that it is not a recent phenomenon, but rather a deeply rooted aspect of our political culture. In this highly polarized political climate, a figure like Donald Trump was bound to rise. As a businessman with no prior political experience, Trump's entry into the political arena was as unconventional as his approach to politics. His candidature capitalized on the existing political bias, an undercurrent that had been brewing for years. Trump's campaign strategy was a masterclass in understanding and leveraging the power of bias. He was able to tap into a demographic that felt overlooked by the political establishment. Those weary of political correctness, those who felt their voices were being drowned out in the clamor for globalism, and those who felt alienated by the rapid cultural and demographic changes. Trump's use of social media was revolutionary. He bypassed traditional media outlets and spoke directly to the people. His tweets were unfiltered, raw, and sometimes controversial. But they gave his supporters a sense that he was one of them, speaking their language, airing their grievances, and promising to put America first. His appeal wasn't limited to his robust social media presence. His rallies were filled with passionate supporters who saw in him a leader unafraid to challenge the status quo. His promises to drain the swamp and his hardline stance on immigration resonated with many Americans who felt that their country was being lost to political elites and outsiders. In a twist that shocked the world, Donald Trump, the businessman and reality TV star, became the 45th President of the United States. His victory was a clear indication of the deep-seated dissatisfaction with the political establishment and a call for a different kind of leadership. In a climate of extreme political bias, Donald Trump's ascent was not an anomaly, but rather a reflection of the times we live in. His rise to power underscores the powerful role that bias and discontent can play in shaping our political landscape. It reminds us that politics is not just about policies and diplomacy, it's about people, their fears, their hopes, and their desire for change.